Welcome everybody back to Grumpy Old Vets. I'm your boy Heath, and across the screen from me is our boy Jay. Hey Jay, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to kick this show off. I've been looking forward to it.
Definitely. So everybody knows this is episode 2. This is our second episode, and I hope I don't have the internet problems I had with last episode. That was a pain in the ass.
Well, if you don't have Boost Mobile, then you don't have to worry about all that. So
I upgraded to fiber, Jay, so I'm good.
Oh, good to go. So we might not have no problems this time.
That's good. Hey, let's bring on our guest and get this thing going.
Okay. So bringing in our guest.
Hey, everybody. We have with us today Ian Mcglynn, retired Army, podcast godfather, and grumpy as hell. Ian, thanks for coming on, man. How you doing?
Grumpy as hell. Yeah, you nailed that one, brother. I'm well. How are y'all?
Doing good, man. Been looking forward to this, dude. I hope everything's going well for you. Everything's going well over here. Just freezing my butt off. That's all.
Yeah, enjoy that shit up north, man.
It's in the 30s. It's kind of a warm day.
It was like 62 here today.
Nice. What about over there? Jay, you're in North Carolina too.
Oh yeah, it's 62. Yeah, it was great. Nice. I would never move back up north ever in life. I would never move back up north.
It has actually, you hear the horror stories about moving up here, but it's been relatively mild, except for Christmas. We had that cold snap in Christmas, but everybody was cold.
Yeah, everybody had that cold snap. So
it was just a little colder over here.
No, I don't want to deal with the snow. I don't want to shovel anything. I don't want to put no salt down. I don't want any of that. I just want to go out the door. I don't have to worry about any of that.
So, we want to get Ian on today because he retired, less than a year ago, right, Ian?
October.
Yeah, so he's freshly retired.
Yeah.
Just like Jay.
You retired the last October in 2022?
Yes.
Oh, me too. The 31st.
Same.
Yeah. Look at this.
So we're fresh. We're fresh out here.
Y'all like brother in arms twins, man.
That's
right. Like it. So before we dive deep, what's everybody drinking on tonight? Start with you, our guest of honor, Ian.
So I pulled out some in honor of the vets, and it was a whiskey that you could only get at post exchanges for the longest time, or internationally. It's the Jack Daniel's Bottled and Bond, which they have since then released out to the general public. It's now called Bonded, the Jack Daniel's Bonded, and it can be found everywhere, and also won the Whiskey Advocate Whiskey of the Year this year. So I've been sipping this stuff since before it was cool, and now it's cool. So I thought I'd bring that out for this lovely shenanigan we got going this evening.
I like it. So you drinking it neat on the rocks? Or neat?
No,
okay.
Always neat.
What about you, Jay? What you got?
Well, I'm about to get some hopefully I'm about to get some salted caramel whiskey that one of my girl's clients gave her. So hopefully she can make me a drink here soon. She's on the phone right now, interrupting the podcast. But
yeah, she is.
Did you make me a drink? Make me a drink?
Make you a drink?
Yes.
Of alcoholic drink?
Yes. We drink on this podcast.
You want me to?
Yes, if you could, please. Thank you.
I like it. What I'm drinking my buddy, my old landlord in Louisiana, Will, had his own batch called Blue Bolt, and this was a 247 series after the last year's Marine Corps birthday, and he got it done right after I transferred, or after Jamie transferred, and I followed to Pennsylvania. But he sent me a couple bottles, so it's good stuff. Bourbon. He found a little distillery out there near where he lives, and he's actually was working on a deal with Specs and those big liquor distributors in Texas. So hopefully it's good whiskey. I hope he does well with it.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So let's get going. I'll start it off, man. So I just like Jay talked to earlier. We had you on the E14 podcast not too long ago, or not our last episode, the one before that, and you retired very recently and went through, I would say you're not worst case scenario, but you had some issues transition over to civilian life. And how did that go? Can you revisit that for us today?
Sure. So my transition was, I don't even know how to put it. not typical. And I don't think anybody's transition is typical. Everybody gets out of the service in their own unique way, and they do what they need to do and what's best for them. But for me, there was a lot of upheaval. So I turn in the packet, start doing all of the classes and all the things to start getting out, and then immediately walk into a divorce as well. So I'm getting out of the Army after 21 years, and I'm getting out of a marriage after 23 years, and both of those transitions happen all at once, and it's a lot. It's a hell of a lot, and anybody who's thinking about two major life changes at the same time, don't. That was a terrible decision. There's nothing good going on with any of that. So avoid that if you can. And,
try to avoid. Yeah, definitely.
But so with my transition, I'm dealing with stuff at home, and I'm dealing with getting out, and I was struck by how all of the classes and everything that they were teaching you was, all the transition briefings and workshops and all the shit you went to was geared specifically towards keeping you busy.
Yep.
Geared specifically towards either keeping you in school and keeping you educated so then you can go get a good job or the job you want, keeping you employed, getting a new job so you can go immediately start working and go do your thing and plug in and be busy doing your new job, and or doing this entrepreneur track and starting your own business so you can stay super busy while you're doing, it was all about keeping you busy. And there was zero tools given at all about what happens when you're not busy and how do you manage that time when you're not busy. And that was the time that really kind of just kicked me right in the teeth, because are we allowed to swear on this?
Yeah, please, by all means.
All right, cool. I always want to ask, you know what I mean? I don't want to, just start dropping F-bombs.
Well, Jay might get offended, but don't worry about it.
I don't know who edits this. I don't know if you got to hit the bleep button. So I tried to give the editor less work, but
no, we just hit the explicit on the on Buzzsprout. We're good.
Love that. So nobody's telling you how to manage the quiet time and how to walk through the emotional side of stopping, because you've been on the go, you've been on the run, you've been rolling for so long. Now it all comes to a stop, and it does. Like it went from 100 miles an hour to zero, like that, and there's nobody there. There's nobody there to be like, oh yeah, by the way, you're gonna find yourself in the middle of the night, crying because you don't know what the fuck to do. And there's, and so I struggled with that, and I'm a pretty emotional dude, right? So I come by it naturally through, my folks, so I start dealing with the quiet, and I start dealing with this still, and I don't deal well. I don't do well at all. And there's a lot of just awful time where I think, I can't do this. I can't survive outside the service. I can't, I'm going to end up homeless. I'm going to be the guy that's standing outside of a Walmart with a sign that says, homeless vet, give me $1. Like that, like that's where my brain went. Like that's where I'm going to be. I had some setbacks with the Skill Bridge program. And so I had this wonderful plan that was great. And kind of ended up being paralyzed and not really putting as much work into that as I needed to. And so all those things fell through. And so now I'm here, and my plan is there is no plan. And now, well, fuck, what do I do?
Real quick, Ian, I get what you're saying, because Jay, I want you to comment on this when I'm done, but I know my experience with, we call it TAP class, y'all separation class that the Army has. And I noticed they were good at trying to make you marketable in the civilian world, but the dead time talk, they didn't have. I remember one thing when the guy said, it wasn't even part of the lecture. He just said it, and I thought about it a lot. He said, I quit 4 jobs before I found the job I wanted after I retired. But nobody sat there and told you, it's okay if it takes you a little while to find a job. Jay, did you get this similar experience?
Yeah, so I went through an Army's tap class.
Okay.
I made sure that because I was speaking to I went to a football game in Dallas. I watched the Dallas against Falcons play, and a guy, retired Army guy, was like, "Look, I'm telling you now, go to the Army tap class because they give you more information." I said, "All right, good to go." So I went to the Army tap class, and like you said, they didn't tell me any of that stuff. I researched it. So I researched that every vet that gets out after a year, they transfer to another job.
Right.
So they only give the job a year. After a year, everybody goes to another type of job. It doesn't matter what the vet is, what branch you come from, what the job is that you have. Everyone actually leaves after a year. You could be making $110,000 a year, and you're going to leave that job after a year.
Right. Wow, that's crazy. And I know, like Ian said, he was going through a divorce, and you went through a divorce. I mean, throw your laundry out there, but same thing happened to you.
Yep.
And you guys didn't have anybody at home being like, "It's all right, it's going to be okay." You had to fill your mind with your own thoughts. And like Ian was saying, the voices were talking, and they weren't good voices, right, Ian?
No, they weren't. And in the noise, so when things get quiet, your brain gets really loud. And that was my thing was, the noise was loud. My thoughts were loud. People call it battling demons. There's a lot of different terminology for it, but really it's just the internal dialogue that is, that's not positive, and that's not a good thing. It's really frightening and scary because it's your own voice telling you that you're not going to make it, and you're going to fail, and you're going to become this terrible thing. And I'm a catastrophizer by nature anyway, so that was made even worse. That it was like, I'm in trouble.
Right.
This is bad. And then on top of all that too, the divorce stuff, I lost the support of my family.
Right.
Not only like my kids and the home structure that I had for 20 some odd years, but oddly enough, a lot of my organic family, mom, dad, brothers, sisters, decided to take like the side of my ex-wife and kind of left me out there on my own.
Yeah,
like hard on my own. And I mean, I had some friends and some family members, come in and provide that support, but that I was it. And so, and so now that just adds to those noises. That just adds to that dissonance that's going on inside my head. Not only, you're not going to be successful, you're not going to do these things, but your family hates you. You don't have, I just wanted to run home and have my mom, like, Heath and you and I had talked about this, you fall off your bike as a kid. What's the first thing you do? You
run home to daddy,
right? To like clean you up and kiss it, make it all better. Or,
right.
Anytime anything bad would happen during my Army career, I'd call my dad.
Yeah.
And now I couldn't even call my dad, so it was, it was bad. It was super bad and very, it was just ugly.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I didn't, my voice it wasn't the same with me. I was lucky to have Jamie, but I can see I started going down that road, right, of being worthless, not having a mission. We deal with missions, right, in the military, no matter what branch you are, not having anything. So I felt like half the man. And luckily I had Jamie there to sit me down and be like, "Hey, you need to knock that shit out, because that ain't working for me." I went, "Jay, did you feel that way when you retired, because you were an LPO at the recruiting station?"
Yeah.
And then you went from being busy as hell.
I went through the same thing Ian went through. Everybody took my ex-wife's side, and I was by myself. So I had to pretty much figure a lot of things out. I'm glad I have some friends that was there for me. I'm glad I have my military friends that was there for me and things like that. But I didn't think it was going to be this hard. I really didn't. I really didn't think retiring, because I look forward to it. I look forward to it for so long. when I hit my time to retire, I put it in, and I did skill bridge also, and I did skill bridge, and at the end of skill bridge, it didn't work for me. Like it didn't work out to where I got the position. So I was out there thinking I'm gonna be homeless. And I know probably the same thing with you, Ian. You had to start over, so you had to get another place. You had to get your own place. And you had to figure out your own bills. You had to figure out all that stuff when it was combined together at that before. But it's nobody sees that struggle because us in the military we don't really express ourselves like that on the outside. No, everybody doesn't see what we're going through. But when you're at home, like Ian said, you do have that time that you want to cry and you get emotional because you don't know what that next step is going to be. You don't want to be out there with that sign, "We'll work for food" at Walmart. But
Right.
that's where you think you're going because you see so many vets out there with that, and you think you're going to go. You think you're going that way, but I said the people that's in my life that pushed me and drove me to be better and be more. And then I found a job. So once I found that job, I think it was more of a I can do it. I can do this. And once I found that job, it was more for I know I can make this happen, and I pulled myself out of the depression and made sure that I did what needed to be done.
Yeah,
So
definitely. Ian, back to you. So how bad did it get, man? How bad did you have to struggle? And what point were you like, damn, I need to pull myself out of this hole?
So there was a night where I couldn't sleep. I couldn't rest. I couldn't find any quiet, and so I'm out walking around, Hanscom Air Force Base, and I call my buddy who had recently gotten out, and I was like, dude, holy fuck. And he's like, I know, and he's kind of talking me down, and all of a sudden the MP rolls up, like, hey, are you okay? Because I was in tears, So here's this dude in the middle of just some random parking lot on an Air Force base at 2 a.m, crying on the phone, and I looked at the cop and I was like, dude, no, I'm not okay. I'm a fucking mess. And it, kind of gave him a little bit more than what he was hoping for. I think I said, but I'm safe. And he's like, you sure? And I was like, yeah, no, I'm safe. And so and from that conversation, I finished my conversation. I walked my ass back home, and I realized that was I safe? Do I have a crisis plan? And I didn't have a crisis plan, so I made one. And it was the moment where I made a crisis plan that I knew I was in a bad spot. If I have to create a plan, like to call or somewhere to go, because I start feeling as though I'm going to hurt myself, or I start feeling as though I'm going to do something dumb, I'm in bad shape. I'm on the way to somewhere terrible, and that's when I started digging into trying to get into therapy and to get into some other resources to try to help me emotionally and mentally kind of start working through not only being done with the military, but being done with my marriage at the same time. And that wasn't the aha moment where everything got better. That was the, oh shit, I'm in trouble moment.
Right. Yeah.
And there were a couple other moments that were dark, and that were very bad. I was lucky. I was incredibly lucky because I had an unbelievable human at my side to grab me, and quite literally, I say this quite often. Because it happened a couple of times. I mean, she picked me up off the bathroom floor and was like, "No, we're not doing this, not yet. You're not giving up. You're not stopping. Like you're not done. Let's keep going." And if she's not there, I don't know if I'm here talking to y'all today.
Wow.
To be painfully honest, and because it hit, and it hit fast, and it was just it. never did I think I would be in that place.
Right. It came without you knowing it was coming, almost like it just hit you all at once. And you don't, it's like depression. I just don't think people realize when they're getting depressed, they realize it when it's a lot of times when it's getting to where it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
So Jay, so what you said, the job helped you pull yourself out of that slump you were in, right?
Yes.
Now, how bad did it get before you found the job? Did you get where you were hanging around in your apartment or your house in your pajamas all day?
Yeah, it did. It did. Because when I found out, I was out of town when they called me and said, "Well, we're not going to give you the position." And I was out because I went to a wedding, so I found out then. So I was like, "Okay, like what am I going to do now?" Like I wasn't, because going through the divorce, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Like I think I didn't save up the amount of money that I needed to save up. Everybody's like, "Oh, when you get out, make sure you have this amount of money saved up and make sure this is done, make sure that's done." I didn't have that. When I got my apartment, I started from scratch. Everything was from scratch for me. So it's not getting that job from the skill bridge and then waiting around, because it was only maybe 3 weeks maybe that I didn't have a job, that I was just sitting around, but I was still getting paid. So I was I had the mind state of, okay, I'm still getting paid, so it's not that bad. It's not to the point that.
Yeah, but in the back of your mind, you had to be thinking about, well, that terminal leave is going to end soon, and I won't be getting paid.
Yeah, because I was pushing for, like, right now I'm still pushing for my disability to come through. I'm like, I call all the time. I'm on that website every single day. Like, all right, is there an update on my disability? No, let me call and see if they got something, because one of my buddies got his disability last month and he didn't even know it was coming. And then when he went online to the VA spot, it didn't show that it was done. It still said decision making. So I call every day. I'm thinking maybe something will pop up, and hopefully I get the money in my account that's gonna we can work out. But paying child support and alimony and all that stuff like that, it's a hard transition. It's hard to imagine that was going to be your life after the military, because I didn't think that was going to be my life after the military. I really didn't. I thought that I was going to be good. I planned on opening a food truck. I planned on doing a whole bunch of stuff. I planned on being a bigger podcaster. I planned on doing 3 or 4 shows, all that stuff like that. It pretty much halted. Because of the situation that I was in.
Yeah, because you can't afford to pay damn electricity to keep the podcast going.
Right. So I'm like, I can't buy another ring light. I can't get this. I can't get alcohol so I can drink on the podcast, because every podcast that I do, it's alcohol.
You got to have a drink. You got to lube it up
on the show. So it was just like, how am I going to be able to do this? And like it's like Ian said, the special person in my life, she kind of pulled me and gave me that positivity all the time.
Yeah, I know. I got where, I mean, obviously I had Jamie's paycheck to really help out, being active duty and all that. My big thing was myself, how I felt about myself. But I remember doing a workout, man, and this happened more than once. 8:30 in the morning, I get a call from somebody, a buddy or my father-in-law or somebody, and I stop my workout to bullshit, and I go, first thing I do is go pour whiskey neat, 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning, and light a cigar. No, there ain't nothing wrong with it when you do it every day. And, and then that turned into, like, only when I got interrupted in my workout to be like, I'm not going to work out. I'm just going to drink whiskey and smoke cigars. And I started going down that path, and then I started Ubering. Like, I got to do something. So, I didn't want to get a job because I knew Jamie was transferring. I just didn't know when. And I didn't want to give myself to a job for a few months and drag up because I had to transfer.
Right.
So I started Ubering. Then gas got ridiculous. So I really wasn't, even though I was making a lot of money Ubering, it was all going to gas. If I made, say, $200 that day, 80 of it went to gas.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wasn't, was it worth it? I'm putting wear and tear on my car at the same time. So I'm like, I'm going to stop this. And then Jamie knew she was transferring. So I'm going to get ready to transfer, help Jamie out. And then it kind of started again. And then as we got closer to transferring, I said, look, I got to stop this. I need to be somewhat sober for this. And so I cut it out. But it was just every day I craved it. Damn it, Ian, it's all from that first episode we did with you back last April.
Don't you put that shit on me, Ricky Bobby. No, sir.
I saw that episode too. I remember that episode.
Yeah, Jamie got drunk.
It's your fault. It was your fault. I remember that episode.
But
it was your fault.
But yeah, man, it tastes so good going down the mouth, going down the throat. I just like the little burn it gave me. But I got right on track now. I got a job and I'm good. And this is the first whiskey I poured probably in a month or two. Really, I mean, I don't even drink that much anymore. I'm just kind of just busy. I don't have time.
Yeah.
So back to Ian. Now you talked about your special someone, a person, a real life person, pulled you from the depths of hell.
Yep.
Or the bathroom floor.
Yep.
If you will. Now, did that blossom into something more, or just a friend, or what? If I may ask, if I may be so bold.
He's just being nosy, Ian. That's what.
Yeah, no, it's all good.
He likes to stir the pot. He stirs the pot all the time.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I'll spill some tea here. I'm good with that. No, so yes, it has blossomed into something much more. I love this girl to death, and she's unbelievable. She was my angel that saved me, and now she's just an unbelievable woman that loves me. And so I came out of that situation on top and with a win. So we're not getting married, Heath. I know that's your next question. So you just,
yes, I was about to ask it, man.
Settle that down, right?
I saw it on his lips too. I saw that
down.
I'm just waiting
right there.
You haven't gone to Zales? You haven't gone to Zales or K's yet?
You mind your business over there. You just mind your business.
You did. Or you wouldn't tell me to mind your business?
No, you mind your business.
I saw it on his lips. He was ready. He was just waiting for you to finish. He was going to interrupt you for a second there, and then he thought about it. It was just, you just kept on leaning in, like, okay.
I was waiting for that break in your conversation to slip it in there, but you got me.
Yeah. No. So there's been a couple of social media posts on my personal one where I got similar questions like, hey Ian, are you getting married? Like, no, sorry, I just put words together poorly. Like that wasn't a wedding announcement at all. But no. No, she's awesome and amazing, and I'm a super lucky guy, and we're going on an adventure. So.
I love it. I love it, man. I love it. So when are you going to start a new podcast with you and her?
Well, you're just gonna take all the shit, aren't you? Yeah. So that's probably like 6 months out. We just started talking about it, and actually I got her behind the mic for the very first time. And boys, let me tell you, you're gonna hear her voice. Well, you can hear her voice here in the new the upcoming season of The Tavern in Question, because she's gonna be our spokesperson, and she's got an unbelievable voice. I just sat her down in the studio. I was like, all right, here, read this for me. And she read it. I was like, oh shit. Like, right. You can't be on a show with me. You sound way better than I do. This isn't okay.
Well, I got a question. She's from North Carolina, correct?
No, she's from Boston.
Oh, okay, never mind. So the redneck accent throws it.
She's working and doing and school stuff down here.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, no, she's from Boston. Didn't catch the Boston accent though. She did not inherit that.
She doesn't go to the bar in her car.
Nah, she's not going down to the yacht or the harbor.
What part of North Carolina are you in?
I'm in Rayford, outside of Fort Bragg.
Oh, okay.
You didn't get that far away from the damn army. Shit.
So I mean, like Jay, like one of the things that helped was I didn't think I did any networking. Apparently I did something right somewhere, because I had a buddy call and say, hey, send me your resume, which I did, and it landed me a great job. And one of the drawbacks to the job was they have residency requirements. So I could live here in North Carolina or somewhere in Virginia or Yuma, Arizona. So I was like, well, I know this place. Christina's close to here, so I'll just call this place good. And I'm glad I did. I mean, I've spent, I think, a total of 9 out of my 21 years here in the area on Fort Bragg. So I'm familiar, and it worked out.
Nice. So you got something to do every day.
No.
Not, I know. Yeah. Damn.
No.
No. So I mean, when we're teaching, we're busy. But there's breaks, and so there's like weird ebbs and flows of training. And when we're not training, we're working remotely from home, and so I'm in here a lot.
Yeah, that's good though. That's good.
Unless we're jumping. No, it is good. I'm not going to complain at all. It's a great company. It's a good job, and I got super fortunate to get the in that I did.
Great.
So
Awesome.
how do you like working remote from transforming from being at office or at work? I don't know what your MOS was, but being there all the time until you're sitting at home and you're working remote, and you pretty much. I worked remote when I worked my skill bridge, and I tell you now, when I first started working remote, I was taking naps. I took a lot of naps. I had on Sports Center all the time. I took a lot of naps, and I caught myself taking these naps because I was a recruiter for the company, and if I didn't have anything to do, I would go and lay on the couch and take me a nap. So I was and that's because I'm used to being a recruiter, a regular recruiter, going to the schools, having people come into the office, going to MEPS, things like that. So it was hard for me not to have something steady. So how hard was it for you not to have that steady doing something all the time and working remote?
So that was challenging. That was very challenging. I got a little taste of that during COVID, but as soon as they gave us the ability to go back to our offices, I was back to the office. I called it, at the time I called it, marriage maintenance. I should have just leaned into it. But anyway, another story there. So obviously that worked. But yeah, no. So I'd gotten a little taste of it there, and I was able to keep myself pretty well disciplined and busy. But with this job, like there's, you can only do so much. And I don't have, like, I wish I could nap. I wish I had that. Like I end up sitting here like my leg starts tapping, and I'm like, okay, what else can I do? What else can I got to do something. I got to go somewhere. I got to be productive, and it's just like, we got to go. So that's been hard for me, and learning to do. And the problem is you get these tasks, you get these things you got to do, and I'm used to doing them the Army style, which is they need to be done by COB that day.
Right.
You got to get them turned in like now, right? But when my HR person says, "Hey, we need this done and turned in by next week sometime," right? It means next week sometime. So when I turn it in like the next day, she's like, "Wow, thanks." Like, so I got to slow down.
Freaking overachiever over here.
Seriously. And I mean, that was one of the things my team leader told me too. He's like, Ian, you just, we don't work that fast anymore. And these were all former, soft SOCOM guys, that, I've worked with most of them in the past anyway. And so they're all like, my one mentor is like, it's like, dude, it's not that serious.
Whoa, turbo.
It's not that deep. Yeah. He's like, we ain't going to fail a mission. Nobody's going to die. And we'll be okay. So is just chilling out and taking my time to do things, doing a little bit now, coming back this afternoon, do a little bit later, and that kind of thing. That's been challenging. That's been super, super challenging for me.
How mad were you getting out, going to a job and being there 15 minutes early and nobody else was there? Because I know when I first started, I was just like, why is nobody here? And then they're late. So they're like 5 minutes late. And I'm like, I've been sitting here for 20 minutes. Are you serious?
So I have been fortunate enough to work with all former military folks. So these guys are late on purpose. And when I say late, the show time is 09, right? They walk in the door at 09. Except for me, who isn't there yet. So I'm still showing up at like 8:45, 8:50. Like, where's everybody at? Like, but these guys are, so it's not that late. Like I didn't go straight into like deep civilian realm for this job. So it's kind of like my halfway house, as it were. So there's some balance there for me. I don't need to show up 10, 15 minutes early. But I need to be there when, Tim says, we're showing up at 9, be there at 9, and so that's been a little different, but that's been easier for me to manage. The phrase, it's like, it's just not my show anymore. Right. So now I'm just a player in somebody else's show. Yeah. That's been, the one thing where I struggle with, because I want to jump in and I want to take charge. And I want to be like, all right, cool. No, you're not going to fucking do that. You're going to go over here. And I can't do that anymore. I'm like, oh, nope, I'm not. I'm just here to teach. I'm just here to teach, You don't want to teach, or you don't want to learn. Okay, cool. I'll be here when you're ready, that kind of deal. So I don't run shit anymore. And that was hard.
That's a hard pill to swallow, dude. I love my job, man. I freaking love it, dude. I work for an electrical contract company. And I think everybody, because I work with a bunch of union electrician construction workers. So it's not that much far removed from the military. You can pretty much get away with a lot of stuff with your mouth, as long as you say it don't say it in front of the wrong person, like HR or something. But I tell you what, I show up 15 minutes early, but there's always somebody working, because they work in shift depending on what the job they're working on, requires. So I'll show up 15 minutes early, like I always do. And me showing up 15 minutes early is showing up late, because normally in the Navy, I show up way early. But I'll get there and I log on, I plug the computer in. I bring my computer home every day just in case. I go get me some coffee, and I come back and I'm getting ready to start. And my lead, because I just started a job, my lead's like, Heath, don't be starting to work before you're supposed to. Like today I had a talk with him. I said, bro, I get it and I appreciate it, but if I do it, just let me do it, because I'm not going to bitch about it. He goes, bro, you're not supposed to do that. We're going to pay you for that. I want to make sure you get paid for that shit. I was like, I respect it. Okay. All right. I'll sit there and twiddle my thumbs until 6 a.m. comes around. I'm good with that. I mean, but it's such a different dynamic, man, than what we're used to. Like if you show up early, dude, it means you're getting to work early. You better start early. You ain't just sit around with your thumb in your ass until it's, whatever time you're supposed to be there.
Yeah. And so with my job, like I'm still working with active duty folks. Like that's who we're teaching. Right. So, so those, I haven't got a chance to experience that side of transition yet. So, and I don't think this will be a forever job. So, I think that the statistic was like 85% of veterans, their first job after the service, they leave in a year. Yeah. Right. So, I can't say that I'll be that 85%. But this isn't a job that I see myself doing for the next 20 years. Right. This is something that'll probably be mid to short term. And, gotcha. And so then that next one, I may have to wait till, a year or two to start managing all those things, and then I'll come back on this show in 2 years and be like, these motherfuckers. I'll have my moment then. But for me, and I think that was really important for me. And it was perfect for me to get that job as far as my own well-being. Because had I gone through the year that I had gone to and then put 2 feet into just the straight civilian realm, I probably wouldn't. I probably would have been really bad for me. I don't think I would have managed that well because my editing equipment is not real great when it comes to words out of the mouth.
Just yet.
Just yet.
There's no filter. It goes straight
Right.
from brain to mouth.
Yeah.
Jay, Ian was a parachute rigger in the Army, correct, Ian?
Mhm.
In the Navy, we have parachute riggers, but you can't call them parachute riggers. They get all butthurt.
Yeah.
They're called aviational survival equipment. Whatever they're freaking, but it's PR, which stands for parachute rigger.
Yeah.
So when you say parachute rigger, or when I say parachute rigger, I'm like, Ian's gonna get mad. But no, you're Army. You're good with that. In the Navy, they get all butthurt. I'm not a parachute rigger. I'm a aviational survival equipment technician. No, you fucking rig parachutes, dude. All right.
You fold nylon.
That's what you do.
Yeah, you fold nylon. You shove it in a bag. Yeah.
But you've jumped out of a lot of perfectly good airplanes in your day, correct?
Well, see, that's the misconception is there are no perfectly good airplanes. They're all in various states of disrepair, right? There is no perfectly functioning aircraft, which made jumping out of them way more easy for me because I've been on Navy birds, I've been on Army birds, I've been on Air Force birds, Marine birds, and they are all broken. Every single one of them. They're just not broken enough to not fly. So getting out of them, I was happy to leave every single one of them.
So do you know how many jumps you've had in your career?
I am somewhere in the realm of 3,200.
Holy shit!
So I jump for my job now.
Yeah,
I'm still jumping. So that I although my retired number, I guess I should start counting over. But I was right around 3,200 jumps when I got out.
Wow, that's a long time. I don't know if parachute riggers in the Navy jump. I think they just like, hey, trust me. Here's your pack. Trust me.
They do not. They do not jump. I can tell you that for a fact because that's what I did when I was in the Marines. So
oh really?
So I was recon in the Marines. So I jumped all the time. The Navy helped us out and they packed our stuff. They didn't jump with us.
No.
So how many jumps you got, Jay?
I'm around the same, about 31.
God, y'all some crazy son of bitches, dude. Fuck
yeah,
that.
about that. Because I did 5 years in the Marines. And I jumped every single. So when I went through jump school, after that, I went through recon and I jumped a lot. I jumped almost every day. And then when I went to Djibouti, when I came to the Navy, they had people that was jumping. So I was like, hey, can I get in? So I got in and I was jumping every day. I was like jump in the morning and then I'll go to work. It's like I was jumping into work. Just
like, hey, I'm in my Liberty, I'm gonna go jump out of an airplane.
Yeah, pretty much. That's what they were. It was a crew that was there, and they was like, anytime you want to come jump, you can just jump. I was like, so how many times did y'all jump? And it was like maybe like 5 or 6 or 7. Just depends on how we feel. I was like, all right, I'll probably be there about 5, maybe 6. I probably won't get there to that 7th one, but I'll get there for 5 or 6.
So you went to Djibouti in the Navy, correct?
Yes.
So you weren't a recruiter in Djibouti. No. What'd you do before you went recruiter?
So when I first came to the Navy, I was a DK.
Oh,
so everybody knows I was a dispersing clerk. And then I changed over to be a PN because PN was promoting faster than DK.
Yeah, that's a personnel man. They're pretty much handle our records and stuff.
So then they combined us because so what they did was PN was promoting harder and DK wasn't because they was going to combine us and they was trying to get it even. So when I went over to be a PN, they stopped promoting PN and started promoting DKs.
Oh shit!
Then they combined this. When I went to Djibouti, I wrote all the checks and had the bills and paid the mortgage for the camp. Okay. So anything that's ordered, anything in Djibouti from 2007 all the way into 2008 was ordered by me and written by me.
Oh, okay. Okay. I never knew what you did before you were a recruiter.
Yeah, I did that. Then I did supply too. So when I went to the reserves, I was supply. So I was 3 different jobs before I became a recruiter.
Holy shit! Oh wow, damn. My career seems boring. I was just electronics tech for 26 years. But so Ian, now you talked about your special person, and now she came on the mic with you. I want to get into podcasting now. And dude, you got two great shows. All right. You got the Wild Whiskey, which, if you like history and you like drinking, that's your show. That is your show, guys. If y'all like drinking and history and you like learning about both, that's the show. Then with Bubba, your brother, Josh, I call him Bubba because that's what you call him. And you got the Tavern in Question, which is great. I love the twist you do on it. You have, let's talk about, y'all do y'all's little, I'm going to talk at the same time and describe the whiskey. Then, Josh fucks it up and you get in his ass.
Yep.
And then you got the newsroom. Then you got, the last is Hey Bartender. And then, but before that, you talk about what you're drinking, correct?
Yeah. So Hey Bartender is what the segment where we talk about what we're drinking. And
okay, that's right.
At the bar is the last one. Yeah.
Right. I forget. It's been a while since I've been on it. And you were taking a break for a while. So you're recording now with y'all have recordings, correct?
We are recording again. We will go back. So Thursday nights at 7:30 on Twitch. Just search Tavern in Question, and you can find us there. That'll start the first Thursday in February. We're going back live, but we are recording now because one thing we found out, but when because Josh's life kind of got flipped upside down as well with a bunch of different things, and so I was a mess. He was a mess. And what was kind of funny is we were using the tavern as kind of like our outlet, right? So it was the one time during the week where I would get together with my brother and we would sit down and it would give us a chance to just kind of talk and decompress. And throughout season 3, like we got about halfway through season 3 and it was like we were getting, and we always said, I got to back up here a little bit. We always said that if we ever get together and our energy is off, like we're not getting paid to do this. We're not getting, like there's no monetary anything. There's no obligation to do this. If we show up and our energy's off, we just don't record. And we've stuck true to that. And so what we were finding is that there was a lot of nights where we were showing up to record and we just weren't in it and we just needed to talk. And so we would spend that night where we would normally be recording and broadcasting, just sitting there on a video, chat over Discord, drinking and talking to each other and talking through the challenges that we were facing in life together at the same time. So we decided to, because we didn't take a break, we were like, oh, we had something came up this week and we were just making excuses and bullshit. So I was like, all right, hey, cool. Let's stop. let's take a time out. Let's take a quick break and come back after the new year, after everything is settled, which it has. And now we're kind of getting back into our stride. So yeah, we'll be back broadcasting, but we are recording again. That's one thing we learned is that we should probably have a handful of recordings in the bank so that on the nights that we get together and we're like, dude, fuck this, we're not recording, we have something to put out. So we've kind of got like a buffer, as it were. So we'll do that. We've got that going on right now, but yeah, that first Thursday we're back. And man, let me tell you, we've done a couple already. And if you don't use it, you'll lose it. This shit is not like riding a bike, dude.
Not at all.
No, man.
It is not, because our first episode last month, I was stuck. It didn't seem like I was stuck, but I was just like, okay, what's the next question I'm going to ask? Let me see here. I don't know what to ask. I want to make sure this is not going bad. I want to make sure there's no dead silence, no dead air, or anything like that. So I was asking questions. I was like, okay, hopefully. And then Heath, he had that Boost Mobile at the time, so he was
dude. Right when it started, my shit went out, bro. So Jay was stuck there holding the book myself. I felt so freaking awful, man, because I had all this line up. I was going to talk to, because I had done a episode with Sylvester not too long. We had Sylvester Jenkins, who's a retired Army guy also. And I had all this stuff I was going to talk to him about, and my shit goes dark, man. I was like, oh, freaking Jay, dude, hold his dick there.
On the first episode, on the very first episode. Say if it was like some episodes down the way, I was like, okay, I'm my feet are wet. I'm back in it. The very first episode, and I'm just like, I don't know what to ask. Let me ask this, and I just make sure. I think he might have talked the majority of the time, because I was just like, I would ask the most open-ended question that I can find, just so he could just give me the longest answer that he could give me, so I wouldn't have to worry about Ask another question.
That's another question. Dang, man, that was. I mean, it sounded good. I edited it. It sounded great. You did a good job, man. But I felt awful, man. You were stuck there holding the bag by yourself. Oh my
I thought
goodness.
about getting you back today. Just
kick
like,
off.
Oh, I can't. My computer's not working too well. Sorry, I gotta go. I won't do that.
Yeah,
But it will be payback one day. You might just be calling me. I might just be back in the background and just let you go. Make it happen. And I'm going to make sure it's a guest that I know that you have no idea about, that I'm good with, and then you just stuck, and you just have to try to fight your way through it. So
well, that's what vets do to each other, man. We talk shit. We talk shit and make each other's lives horrible. That's
why we're grumpy.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, that's why we're grumpy. That's what we do. Now, right. Now, that's what I like about you and Josh. You guys talk shit to each other a lot because that brotherly love it's brotherly love, but to the common listener, it would seem like brotherly hate unless you have a brother, then it's brotherly love. Why whiskey though? Tell us about why whiskey, man. Because I tell you what, real quick, I love history. That's why I say if you're a history buff, and I love learning about anything. That's why I like whiskey I love how you put that out. I don't know how you can combine the two, but you do it so well. So tell us about it.
So why whiskey was just a boy. I started it for the stupidest reason. I was looking to like build a portfolio so that when I got out of the army, I could have, a body of work to show a whiskey company and get a job, like walking in like, oh, look, I've got a podcast. Well, there's 900 freaking different whiskey podcasts. So that's not going to be a thing. But what it ended up being was a time for me to just share the two things that I absolutely love. And I love telling stories. I love digging in and finding weird, silly shit that most people or some folks don't know, and then sharing that stuff. And there's a lot of that in whiskey. There's a lot of parts of whiskey that's folklore and legend, and there's a lot of weird truth it mixed into it as well. So it really gave me the opportunity to kind of share both of the things that I love the most. And I can share history and I can share whiskey, and I can do it together. And then when I bring people on, you and Jamie was holy shit. That was amazing. And there's been a number of folks that I've had on the show and have gotten connected with where, we sit down with the premise of talking about, some specific historical something, right? But we get to sipping and it ends up going to somewhere completely different. And it's amazing. Yeah. It's wonderful. And that's really been it. And so the show became a place of comfort for me. And it was one of the things that I had to take a time out on during the transition, during my divorce, which was kind of actually funny. Like the very last show I did, because I bought a house somewhere where I thought I was going to go. That didn't happen. So the very last show that I did was from that house, thinking like this was going to be my new hometown and my new place. And then I just went off the air for 11 months so that I could try to manage the rest of my shit. And, why whiskey was always the thing that I was going back to. It was never done. I was never done with it. It was never over. It was just, it had become this safe place, this place of comfort and solidarity where I could get into an environment of two things that I know. Right. I don't know what's going to happen with transition. I don't know what's going to happen with my life. I don't know any of these things, but you know what? I know history and I know whiskey, and I can jump into those two environments and I can say like share some shit. And I've got, it's a really small circle and network of people, but I've got this circle of people that are, that are there to support and to be a part of it with me. So that was the relaunch when I came back. But yeah, it was I've been doing it since 2019, I think November 19th.
Yeah. You were there. You're a pre-COVID show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I liked it that you can talk about the Old West. You can talk about American history. You can even get into, I know you did it with the British girl. I can't remember, or she's Australian.
Australian, Lisa Charlotte.
You talked about like, it's not, what, didn't you talk about ancient Greek? What was it?
So yes, so she is a part of the Sweet Bitter podcast, which
Yes, that's it.
is just a phenomenal show. Unbelievable. Her, Ellie Brigida, and Elise, they put together an unbelievable show. And which they're currently on season 3, season 4. I don't know. They did great stuff. And so that's kind of where I got connected with her. And so we talked about Sappho because their first season was about Sappho and the writings of Sappho and all that, and which we talked for like 4 hours. We were so drunk.
Y'all were fucked up
so bad, man.
It was a good show though.
Yeah.
You kept it together for the show.
Yeah.
And the one you recently did with, is it Civics and Coffee or
Alicia? Yeah,
you did one recently with her.
Yep.
On your new Wild Whiskey, your reboot, I'll say. And it is good. You work well with, history, and I think your range is great. You don't need to you don't have a certain niche that any history works for you.
Yeah, and that's like the reason I took the pause I did was because I for me to do the show and to do it right, it takes time. You have to research, you have to dig in, and you've got to go read a lot. And you got to read a lot of really boring shit. But it takes that time, and then you got to kind of bring it all together. And I just didn't have the time or the focus. I sat down a number of times during my transition period, and with the intention to write and with the intention to put a show together. And next thing I know, I'm I'm not researching anything. I'm sitting at my computer, with my head in my hands going, oh my God, I'm going to die. Like, and so I just didn't have the focus and the energy to put into it that it needed. And so I wanted to I needed to hold off, and I needed to wait until that shit started to settle down. And as soon as it did, man, let me tell you, I got back behind that. I got this place set up. The very first night, like I got it all set up and it was ready to go. And I was like, I kind of just sat down and I was like, well, let's see if I'm ready. And I hopped behind the mic, and I ended up recording, my relaunch episode. The episode that came out on November 1st. And
where you told all.
Yeah. Kind of just threw my shit out there. But yeah, man. But yeah, so that's the show. That's where I'm at.
So Jay, back to you, man. I know you reached out to me about this. What, you just started the juice to start flowing again?
No, because I was going to do, I'm still going to do a podcast about relationships. So I'm still working on that, and bringing that out probably in the middle of March time frame. I'm just working on guests and things like that. So I was like, I was talking to Jamie, and I was like, we were just joking around. I said, when I retire, Heath should do a Grumpy Old Vets podcast and just talk shit about the Navy and talk shit about the military and how it's going this way, and bring in some vets, and we just sit around drinking, talking shit. And she was like, "Oh, Heath would love that." I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay, let me reach out to Heath and see if we can make this happen." And you said yes. So I was like, "Okay, well, let me dust off this mic and dust this camera off and figure and get my mind back into podcasting." So I said I wasn't going to start that relationship podcast until around March. You know? So this coming up was something that would get my mind off of a whole bunch of other things and get me ready for that. And it was just something that I really wanted to get back into. Like, doing the Savage Squad podcast, that was like my baby. Like I did that during the pandemic. So
I tell you, Ian, Jay, I wanted to do a show with you ever since because I was a big fan of the Savage Squad. And you know that I reached out to you a few times and hit you up about it, and that's when I was still active and everybody was still in the military. And I thought it was awesome you reached out to me, and we get to interview cool people like Ian and Sylvester, and it's been great so far. But I tell you, you guys, if you like a podcast where people are being themselves and having a good time on the mic, Tavern in Question and Why Whiskey is a show to listen to. I tell you that. So hey, please, real quick, Ian, before I forget, plug those shows for me.
Yeah. So Why Whiskey pops out every 2 weeks, every on Friday. So I don't like I don't know. It's every other Friday at 7 a.m. And so you can find me there. And I'm in the Twitterverse and on Instagram and all that stuff. Just search Why Whiskey and you'll find me. But Tavern in Question is Thursday nights at 7:30. You can find us on Twitch live, which live is kind of fun because you get to see all of it. So I do all of the editing and stuff for the tavern. So when the podcast version comes out, it's much cleaner and the transitions are a lot smoother. But so it's a little more rough to watch. But at the end of our recording, we go into what we call the last call, and where we just sit there and we hang out and we drink and we talk to the folks that are in the chat with us. And that's a lot of fun because we get a mix of folks from very serious to not so serious. I mean, Heath shows up and just, throws a stick of dynamite in the room and then just leaves.
Hermes, don't forget about Hermes from Scuttlebutt. He'll do the same damn thing.
Yeah, but see, Hermes bitch ass, he shows up for about 5 minutes in the beginning and then he's got to go to bed because he's got to work in the morning. I'm a talk shit on that guy. I love that guy to death, but I'm a talk shit. But no, so like there's that part of it, the interaction part of it, which is super enjoyable. And there's a lot less structure to the tavern. So some history stuff can be kind of boring. I understand that. And there's a structure to Why Whiskey. The tavern is kind of where I get to let my hair down and just kind of go full on and be super silly and just have a good time doing whatever the hell it is we end up doing on there. And which is, there's nothing specific. We just, it's just kind of all out. And we do have a plan, but often our plans get all fucked up and we just have a good time. So
yeah, that's right. But a couple things though, if you get on Twitch and interact with Tavern in Question during their normal recording, Josh will talk back.
It's son of a bitch.
And the last call is for live listeners only on Twitch. You don't get that on the podcast. Whatever said in last call is not on the podcast. You can listen to it on Apple or Spotify, etc. But I meant to ask this earlier and I forgot. Your latest episodes on Why Whiskey is Tall Tales.
Mm-hmm.
You got Pecos Bill on there.
Yep.
And I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet because I'm doing an audio book right now. I'm waiting to finish that. What kind of Tall Tales have you released so far if people are into that?
So going over folklore and like American folklore and legend, right? So I covered Molly Pitcher with Alicia from Civic Coffee.
I heard that one. Yeah.
Yep. And so basically what I'm doing is I'm trying to go through all of these tall tales, these legends, and see if there's any truth to them, and do some digging, to see if, because all these stories, right? They must have come from somewhere, but where did the stories come from? And that's what I'm trying to find out. And so Molly Pitcher with Alicia, I did Paul Bunyan with Chance from Strive Seek Find podcast. That was fun. We got super drunk that night too. You could tell towards the end of the show we kind of fall off the rails there, but let's see, Paul Bunyan, Pecos Bill. Pecos Bill was a fun one. And then the next upcoming one is on John Henry. So,
oh wow, nice.
Yeah, it'll be a 5-show series, and then I'll do a 6th episode where I kind of wrap everything up and answer the question why. Like, where did these stories come from? Why did they? Because they all kind of came around the same time. Mm-hmm. They roughly like kind of all just popped out here in the beginning of the 20th century, and what was going on in America at the time that caused a need for us to write stories, for us there to be American folklore and American legends. Why? What was the need? So that'll be the last episode where I kind of bring all that together.
Nice. Jay, you got anything I'm missing?
No, I've watched Wild Whiskey podcast. I haven't watched. What's the name of the other one?
Tavern in Question.
The Tavern in Question.
Yeah, I haven't watched that or seen anything about that. So I'm gonna pop in on that one. Learn some podcast techniques from you all on that one. I religiously watch E14 podcast, so learning from the greats out here with the podcast has been on for a long time. You know, you can always learn something great from Heath because he's pretty old, so he can.
I got a lot of wisdom to pass.
Yes,
so
can't confirm.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Ian, thanks so much again for telling your story. I know it's a painful revisit, but thanks again for telling your story to us. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Yeah,
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, that's the other reason for this podcast is just to show that everybody has these hard times they're going through when they retire. So thanks for coming on and giving us your spiel on your hard times and knowing that other people are going through the same things that we go through. So.
Definitely. And before we let you go, Ian, what any advice for retirees out there?
Yeah.
Or future retirees that's coming up on it.
Absolutely. It's okay. Allow yourself some grace. It's okay. If you don't land a 6-figure job, that's okay. If you need help when you get out, that's okay. Your journey is your journey. It's yours. And what you make of it and what you put into it is entirely up to you. And there is no standard of measurement. Nobody's going to come and evaluate you and say, hey, you did your transition really well. Oh, you sucked at transition. Nobody's going to do that. Nobody cares. It's all about you. Right. So figure that out, figure out what you want to do and work towards that if you can. And if you meet failure along the way, well, that's just a lesson to be learned. And that's okay. Really take some time to try to develop some tools for reflection, because it's the reflection time that will kick your ass over and over and over. You know, for folks who spent a lifetime of service, like you two gentlemen, right? There's a lot of processing that has to happen when you stop, because while we're moving, we're going, we're not taking the time to really kind of break apart what happened. Well, that time is coming. And when you step out of the service, that time is there. You just don't know how to handle it. So really try to find some tools and stuff that works for you to help you manage all of those thoughts that kind of come back and help process, whether it's writing, whether it's talking, whether it's whatever it is. There's a million different things that work for everybody. So, but really start developing tools that are going to help you process all of the lifetime of service that you are putting behind you.
Great advice.
Well said. Anything before we close out, Jay?
No, just everybody tune in for our next episode. Make sure you tune in to Wild Whiskey Podcast and
Tavern in Question.
Yeah, Tavern in Question. Make sure y'all tune into both of those podcasts. And E14 podcast. Look out for my podcast. I know Heath is probably working on another podcast by himself because he's probably going to kick Jamie to the curb in a minute.
No, can't do that. She's the hot one and the smart one.
No, I just like stirring the pot. So
yeah, I know you do. I know you do.
I want her to hear this and then just look over at you and see what you're going to say. So,
well, I'm going to throw a plug out there real quick. So for all the retirees out there that think the whatever branch you're in is screwing it up, there's something called Heath's Retirement Rant. So I do that. It's under the E14 label, but Jamie's not affiliated with it because she would get in trouble. But Heath's Retirement Rant, I'm gonna do my 4th episode Friday. I'm gonna probably drop it this weekend. So yeah, got that. But everybody, we just spent the better part of an hour with a great American, Ian Mcglynn. Like I said before, he's a retired Army vet. He is a podcaster, and he's our friend. Ian, thank you for joining us. And remember, guys, a grumpy vet is a happy vet.
You wanna be a drunk, that's okay, but could you be a grumpy kind of person? It's not that I don't know.